So I'm going to share one or two videos each week, really just to explain and educate, hopefully parents and coaches and anyone involved, not just why we run this league, but why kids need this kind of learning in general. I think it's kind of funny, and I've shared this with a lot of people that, when my kids were growing up and we were getting started with this, a lot of the youth leagues, and I think many still, played in very rigid and structured rule environments for young kids. They had maybe four kids inside the paint, for example, and they couldn't press and they couldn't steal the ball or they couldn't block the shot. And things looked really, really nice on the surface. But it was a joke, really. Like the kids weren't really learning anything, and they thought they were good, but they really weren't at the game of basketball. Weren't even playing a real game of basketball. And if you had really pressed them on it, I think the kids themselves would have known it. And I always thought it was funny that no one had to explain and defend that kind of league, even though it's completely inferior in terms of a learning perspective, particularly in a game of basketball. It really looks good on the surface, but kids aren't learning what you think they're learning. I'm reading a book again that I've read before called Messy. It's one I can't recommend enough for teachers, for anyone, coaches, The Power of Disorder to Transform Our Lives. And, I've said to many people, and there's videos online already where I talk about messy beats neat. And I think we always need to distinguish between how kids learn, how they actually learn the game of basketball, and how we think they learn the game of basketball. And I think we underestimate the power of free play in their development in general, but especially in their development as a basketball player in particular. I often tell people I can run drills and do things that look really nice and ordered on the surface and that are really impressive in their organization, but really don't make people better. They might make them a little bit better, but they really don't make them better in this chaotic nature and game of basketball. And, I'm not going to go on for 5 minutes with this, but just to think for you as a parent, as an individual, as a coach, what I want you to understand about the game of basketball is you might look at NBA or college and see some sort of order. Many people do. The higher you get in the game of basketball, the more you'll see that. But really underneath it is a comfort in the chaos. It's a comfort in just decision making in an ever-changing environment in the game of basketball, so that if you tried to bring crazy disorder to an NBA team, they would be able to adjust very quickly and punish you for any sort of mistakes you make because of such a high level they're at. But what you need to understand is that they didn't learn simply with order. They learned with disorder, right? So I've had many people through the years say, well, this looks like street ball. And I'm like, well, it kind of is, because that's what every kid needs. And that doesn't mean it's the only thing they need, right? You want to teach them how to play and learn the language of basketball, which is why we run our fall league the way we do, etc. But it is something that they always need to a certain extent all their lives, no matter how high they get in basketball. So our leagues this week, I'm sure you've seen it. It's messy, but I can't encourage you enough to help your kids embrace the mess and understand that it's really exactly what they need to develop. And as I'll allude to later in another video, if you embrace it, they'll embrace it better. So enjoy the week, embrace the mess. It's making them better.